What's up, everybody? This is Baka&Co. I'm Frankfurtter, that is Magically Average, and below us is Sam the Manga Man. Say hello, buddy.
Hey guys, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Today we are going to be talking about Spring 2023 first impressions. We're about week 2 or 3 into the season. We've all watched a handful of shows, and today we want to kind of go over what our favorites are, what are some letdowns, etc., etc. So let's just kind of poll the crowd. About how many shows have y'all watched each?
All right.
Counting is hard.
Throw you guys a curveball. 15, holy shit.
I think for me only like 9
14,
or 10.
Yeah, I'm at 9. No, 10. I'm at 10 shows this season so far. There are a few that I haven't gotten to that I do want to get to. Like, I haven't gotten to Dr. Stone yet. I haven't gotten to the new Demon Slayer yet. And I feel like there was one more show that I haven't got. Oh, the Insomniacs After School. I haven't gotten to those 3 yet, but I will maybe one day eventually get to them. But it seems like we're more invested this season in shows than we have been in the past. Like there's more this season that is actually kind of quality that we want to watch compared to not necessarily fall 2022, but winter 2023. Like winter 2023, I feel like kind of came out like a wet fart to us. Like we talked about it for a little bit, and then nobody really talked about shows going on last season, except for maybe like My Hero Academia.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of continuing series, I think, last season, or series that had multiple cores, like Blue Lock, that were driving it. But for me, spring season's been the season of a lot of low expectations and minimal hype to just now it's overwhelming hype and like the highest of expectations and the highest of ratings.
So what's something, give me an example. What's something that you've actually had 0 expectations or low expectations and are really enjoying?
My love story with Yamada-kun at level 999.
Me too.
That was one. Yeah. I mean, that was one, like, title alone, I'm like, meh. It's done by Madhouse, so I knew the animation was at least going to be, like, enjoyable. But I thought the first episode was stellar. I like the concept. I think it's, it's a better take on one of the anime that we recently reviewed, which was like Recovering MMO.
Junkie.
Yeah. Which that one was, in my opinion, pretty mediocre. This one, I think, does a better job of incorporating like the drama and romance into it. And it surprised me but surprised my wife more, so much so that she within 3 days read through all 82 chapters that are out scanned in English.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. Yeah, because what happened was we watched the first episode and like what everyone does when they watch something and can't get enough, start making TikToks about it, and then that spiraled into, oh, have you read the manga? FYI, here's some clips from the manga, and it's like the spiciest sex scenes you've ever seen in a comedy romance. And so my wife was like, I may be reading a new series, and I'm like, is it Yamada-kun? She's like, yes. Can you find it for me? I was like, yes, I can.
Oh my god, she would. She so would. That's fantastic.
But I think the other one for me that I had, like, reading it sounded really interesting, but I was still skeptical. But after watching the first episode, I was like, no, this is going to be pretty good. Was Insomniacs After School. I like, again, Call of the Night brought in this whole world of like, what can we do in an anime that's completely during nighttime? Like when things should be quiet, when the world sort of rests, but how can we make it lively and interesting and intriguing? And like Call of the Night did it in a colorful way where everything was still very vibrant and loud, but Insomniacs does it in a very subtle, like peaceful manner where it's like, no, this is how the world kind of is. Like everyone is asleep. You're walking down the road at 3 a.m. Like just everything is very tranquil.
Yeah.
But you're the ones awake and alive in it. So like you're the loudest things in existence at this very point in time.
So Fight
But you're
Club, basically like Fight Club quietness. That the time at 3 a.m.
yeah,
It's just
yeah,
quiet.
basically. But it's also I like it as well because it does talk about um the issues of insomnia and how a lot of kids like think that they're alone and think that this is something that they can only fight by themselves. Like there's not anyone out there that is like this because what are you gonna do? Like no one else that you know is awake, and for those that do have insomnia, it's like, what are you guys gonna do? Just go meet up in the playground at 4 a.m? You could, I guess, but like it's a
Sure.
great example of how to like how high school students who feel like they're kind of isolated in the fact that they suffer from insomnia find each other and are like, well, how can we make the best of it? Like what can we do? How can we take this annoying thing that we both have and
Make it a
reshape
positive.
it? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I like that aspect to it too. But and I think the first episode did a very excellent job of setting up sort of what the general feel for the series is going to be, and I'm excited. I've only watched the first episode of every single show that we'll be talking about, so I haven't seen. I know the second episode's already out, so I'm kind of like being very
Rod.
yeah, in my analysis of like what I'm expecting, because people will probably be like, well, yeah, that's what already happened. I'm like, shush, I've only seen one episode. Let me have this.
Fair enough.
But
Sam,
yeah, those are the two that stood out.
nice. Sam, is there anything that you were super like mellow with? You're like, this is fine. This is gonna be whatever show, and kind of exceeded those expectations to you.
So not started out like fine, but started out less interesting was the Tengoku Daimakyo. It
Oh,
was
that's
a
the one
show that's
on
on
Hulu.
Hulu. Yeah, it's like technically Japan has it on their Disney Plus, and I guess because Hulu and Disney shares under Sony, they can have like Disney Plus animes into it. And I'm actually kind of liking the post-apocalyptic world plus Promised Neverland uh plus Last of Us kind of environment kind of thing. It's actually pretty. It got me hooked and interesting. There's some sci-fi lore, but there's also kind of weirdness to it.
Yeah.
Um, it's just definitely some sci-fi stuff because they threw in like a whole ray gun kind of stuff into the show. Yeah, again, it's like it's post-apocalyptic sci-fi thing, and I guess with all it just makes sense because it's anime, but and this is under like Disney Plus's umbrella. It still has that commercial break side and then replay clip. And I don't think Disney Plus has kind of failed in any of its anime just yet. Like it got out Bleach, it got out the summertime rendering, so it's having a pretty good track record. Not a lot of it, but pretty good track record for
I
its body.
I will say though that they do need to increase or do better with the dubs, because I watched the dubbed version of Summertime Rendering and it's abysmal. There's like there's like maybe two characters that are consistently good throughout that show. The rest are just like they have their moments and then they're just god awful the rest of the time. It's like, oh no. But like I agree that Disney's actually done really well with their acquisitions as to what shows they're putting on their platform. In the United States case, it's on Hulu, but for what they've acquired so far, like it's been very good. So it's good to hear that Hulu has or Disney, I guess in general, has a really good show under their belt that's actually being released weekly on Hulu. So I do need to get into that show because you're not the only person that's told me that show is really good. So it's good to hear again that they got another good one.
Um, Definitely interesting to watch. I think 3 episodes are already up for this one. I was wondering how it actually reached up to high many people's ranks of their anime list so far. So like it's a good sign. It's a good watch. I'm not counting on the dub, considering with Disney Plus and stuff. And you would think with their own animation studio with Disney and everything like that, they could have hired professional actors onto their voices, but beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah.
Um,
It
Yeah.
is 3 episodes, by the way.
And another one was like that it was like I expected liked it, and then it's like not that it's gotten better, but it's gotten okay. It was the Too Cute Crisis, the whole aliens and aliens won't destroy the world because it has pets. It has dogs, it has cats, it has lizards, it has turtles. Adorable pictures of like yes, the pets are saving us.
I saw you post in our server that you had watched it and you're like, oh no, what have I done?
It's adorable. I
I'm
failed.
I've also watched it.
what'd you think?
It's goofy.
Is
It's
it like an
quirky. It's
Onimai
cute.
goofy?
No. The humor is there. I think it's gonna get. I feel like it's just gonna get kind of old
Yeah.
because they're just gonna run through all these different animals. Like in the opening sequence, they show obviously cats and dogs, but then it's like hedgehogs and hamsters and like all these other like ferrets and stuff, and like all these other household pets that this alien has to come to terms with the fact that Earth is just crawling with these things that you can you can have domestically.
Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely like it's cute. It's called Too Cute Crisis.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of in the
Yeah.
title.
It kind of
But
has to be.
right. Yeah. I just I hope that it doesn't run its course too quickly because like the first episode I thought was pretty funny, but I was like after it ended I'm like uh-oh, like I already can see like they're gonna meet more people because it takes place at a cat cafe for the
Okay.
most of the first episode. Um, but I'm like uh-oh, and then towards the end of the first episode like something big happens and you're like oh okay I see. So you're just hoping like I hope this just doesn't come like the only shtick.
Yeah, kind of
But
like life lessons with Uramichi Sensei or whatever it was. Like that it just had one shtick and it just beat itself over the head with that one shtick the entire time. Which to be fair, it was really funny. And every
oh
once
yeah,
in a while it got me again, but it's just like, oh no.
yeah. I'm trying to think of like a recent anime that it's like where it's just gonna kind of be very
What about
simplistic
the
in its
show that I
approach.
made you watch that you absolutely hated? The Baka and Test.
Oh god,
Oh,
yeah.
that.
Well, that's like a bad show. That's just a bad one. Like this one's actually entertaining. That's just awful. Um, but yeah, no, it was cute.
Fair enough. As for me, I agree with you for my love story with Yamada-kun at level 999. I was like, this is a light novel title. I usually try to stay away from these, but the fact that this isn't a isekai and that it is done by Madhouse, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it one episode, and it got me, and it hooked me, and I'm glad I watched it. But the other show for me that I was very kind of like went in not like knowing a little bit but not too much was The Dangers in My Heart. And I know Tyler you were really excited about this one. And I've only watched
Mm.
episode 1, maybe episode 2, I don't really remember. I've had a long couple weeks. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a little
Yay.
cringy or whatever," but like the art style is different enough that it drew me in. It's pretty it's I don't mean this in a weird way, but when I say it, it's pretty pure. It's kind of like a pure type show where there's nothing that the characters are doing that are just like can be taken out of context of just like sexualization or anything like that. Granted, the one kid just wants to straight up murder his classmates. Other than that, it's pretty fucking pure. You have this one kid who's confessing his love to like a girl who's a little bit on the bigger side, and he's like, there's nothing wrong with you, you're fantastic, can we go out now? And it's just like there's so many little moments in this show that is just like it just put a smile on my face that I just wasn't expecting it to be there. So I really, that one really took me off like by surprise for sure. But with the good there are bads, and I've got a show and a half that I'm just like, first being My Home Hero.
I only
I
watched the first episode for it.
I only watched the first episode, and that's all I need to watch. I'm done with the series. I actually forgot to include that in my count. I've watched 11 shows. I watched the first episode of My Home Hero. If you watch the preview episode of our podcast, I was actually very excited for this show. It seemed like a
It was.
really great premise. And then you watch the first episode, the sound is awful, the VAs sound awful, the fucking animation is just like goes.
There was nothing special about it. It was just
No, it was so flat. Everything was flat about it when it should have had this gusto, this really interesting story to draw you in, and they just fucking failed at it. Like the writing was bad for this. I don't know if it was taking the writing from the source material or not, but just like nothing about this show was very good. This isn't like, I will say this is definitely better than Tomodachi Game, but it's still just really bad, and it's so much so that I'm not watching any more of it. But Sam, what are your like? I told you how bad it was before you went into it. What did you think of episode one?
I've so technically I've read this last year, or really, or maybe longer, probably like the first volume of, and I was hooked on its suspense and mystery stories and all that stuff like that. And like finding out that the anime is coming out, I was actually excited for it because my interest of the manga. But watching that first episodes, like the pacing was just weird. Like
Yeah.
literally, like you don't have no idea where it's going. Like there's a good, like I know like the main character, the dad, was supposed to be pathetic, but like this is more to the point where it's too cringy, and it was just cringy all around. And like when it got to the point where like, oh, this gangster's beating on my daughter, I need to do something. And I was like, it's just so much pausing, and there's so much like just talking and so much inner thinking kind of thing. It was just,
Yeah, it took away like all those pauses, inner monologues, etc. It really took away from any suspense that should have been there. Like the whole scene where the dad's like in episode one, the dad ends up killing the boyfriend, but he hides in a closet. But there's literally like 3.5 minutes of inner dialogue between the fucking boyfriend is like, is there somebody in this house? And the dad hiding in the closet of like, what should I do to protect my baby girl? And it's just like, holy fuck, just get on with it. It was bad.
well, rice cooker does more than just cooking rice. It's a great instrument.
It's a very nice blunt tool.
I don't know what like
Damn
fucking
it, I
rice
forgot you
cooker.
had your soundboard. I was like, what are these noises? Sorry, Tyler, go for it.
I was just gonna say, I don't know. I haven't watched it, but I saw the rice cooker comment, and all I have to say is I don't know what type of rice cooker they're using, but mine's fucking heavy. Like
they
I'd probably
beat the
bludgeon
man to-
myself.
Yeah,
I know, but I'd probably, if I had to like lift it over my head, knowing my dumpy ass, it'd slip, and I'd like concuss myself before I did damage to anyone else.
I mean, don't worry. He took a crotch shot though, so he hit the
Oh,
nuts.
okay.
It's all like, yeah, you had the advantage at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the other show that I do want to talk about that I'm mildly disappointed with, by no means do I will still recommend this show because I think the storytelling and everything about it is very good. It's just the animation that's really killing this for me in a way is Mashal.
Really?
Yes.
I was wondering which one it was going to be.
I've read about 80 some odd chapters of Mashal. I think the series is great. It is something that I recommended on our TikTok for those who want shorter videos. We make TikToks daily. It is something I was looking forward to. It's a series that I know that you, Magically Average, and I and our other friends last summer really got into. And it's something that just kind of bummed me out. The story is great, the pacing is great, the voice acting is great, but the animation, there's something about the animation that feels so weird and cheap. It just feels a little cheap.
Correction, my wife got into it. I haven't read a single chapter.
Then never mind, your wife got into it.
I think I know what you mean by that, because considering it's a shonen anime and it has all that backing and Shonen Weekly and everything, you would think that
it's done by A1. It's done by A1 Pictures.
So I mean, I will say from seeing the manga and like how it's drawn and everything, and seeing the trailer for Mashal, my first thought was like the animation is going to be a little different.
Plain.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
fine
not
with
even
goofy and different, but it just feels so stiff. Like it,
right. Well, it looked like to me kind of in a vein to like Psyche, where they had like the really weird animation at times. Like some of the characters stood out for no reason
yeah,
and like were just very odd and misplaced. Where but the animation was still good. It was just it felt kind of odd and
yeah,
off-putting.
and that's why
So,
I'm kind of disappointed. Is just it. I know,
but
like I don't know.
I think that goes but I think that plays into the series entirely. Like again, like seeing some of the panels that my wife would share with all the different friends that were reading it at the time. I was looking at them like these kind of look like bad. like they like the art itself just kind of looks weird. But then I realized like, oh, that's just the style.
Yeah,
And there's
it's
a
got
lot
a
of series that are like
campy.
that.
Yeah.
It's got a campy
Yeah.
style, but just like I think it's more so that some of it feels almost, and I mean this in all sincerity and kind of and kindness, it feels almost a little bit like Harry Potter Puppet Pals the animation.
There's
Where
nothing wrong with that. There's
There's
nothing
nothing
wrong
wrong
with
with
Harry
that.
there's
Potter
nothing
Puppet
wrong with
Pals.
that for 2007, but for 2023 it's kind of just a little
All right.
we could do
We're not
better
gonna
than that. But
we're not gonna
yeah,
spend a lot of time on this,
we're
but
not. But
I'm going to make a comment though and say
yes,
that I actually like when series, no matter what style they incorporate, it even I'm gonna give a nod to CG as well, even if it's 3D, CGI, whatever. So long as you make the animation stand out and feel different, then I think you're already a step above. Because there's a couple of series that I watched where, again, I thought it looked fine, like no problems with the animation, but it looked bland, like it was just kind of
Mhm.
cookie cutter. And the one for me, this isn't my one bad one, by the way. This is just an example for animation. The one that kind of fell into that bucket
I
was
know
A
what you're gonna.
Galaxy Next
I
Door.
knew you were gonna say it. I knew you were gonna
It
say it.
looked very
Gotcha.
plain.
It
It looked
does.
very plain, but but that's what I mean. Like they took the safe route and they were like, let's just file this under the animation of today's, anime. Right? This is just a very cookie cutter animation style where the characters are kind of bland, the scenery is pretty bland, the like everything is just kind of just okay.
Which is
And that's
unfortunate.
fine.
Mm.
It's unfortunate, but it's fine. Like if I haven't read the manga yet, but if that's like if the style of the manga has no unique features or like nothing that really like makes it pop. Granted, there's one scene in A Galaxy Next Door where I'm like, okay, I'm sure this is where they're gonna really put all their heart like energy into moving forward, which is fine. But like a series that I'm looking at live chart right now, and it's kind of nearby. A series that wouldn't work with is Kuba Won't Let Me Be Invisible, because there's a lot of like little unique art, like tidbits that they have in the manga that they've incorporated into the anime, and it would feel very weird if they didn't. And they were like, okay, let's go the safe route. Let's do this type of animation. Let's not make them chibi or not make them kind of odd and awkward at times. But it's like,
Yeah.
but that's what they do in the manga, you know?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
if in my mind, I'm like, hey, if Mashal, because Mashal's got that very weird, kind of muddy art style in the manga, if you don't try to bring that into the animation too, I feel like you're going to lose a lot of people. It's just going to feel like, oh, they're doing it safe.
They
I
brought it.
mean, like
They brought
they
it into
knew
the.
like concept going in. It was like a satire comedy of Harry
Yeah.
Potter plus One Punch Man plus I forgot the other one.
I was gonna
But yeah,
say
like
those two alone is just pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah.
like I think like they're not putting so much into their like Mob Psycho's hairstyle,
Mm,
but they're not.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
Mob Psycho looks like ass to a lot of people.
which is hilarious. It's
in-
fucking
in-
funny as
If you
hell.
take out the fight scenes,
That's true.
it looks like garbage. It
It
looks
is.
like a webtoon.
It is a little dumpy,
That's the
but
style.
yeah.
But that's the style. That's what I mean. Like imagine if Mob Psycho was done in the style of fucking even like Demon Slayer. It'd feel really, really bad. It would feel like they just were like, oh, we're gonna go animation heavy and not try to incorporate the stylistic choices because it just looks gross. It's like, no, that's the whole point. You want to incorporate that into your anime. You want to bring that over because that's a part of the life of the series.
Yeah.
Like, that's a part of its characteristics, its identity.
But even
So-
Mob Psycho and One Punch Man had like a better animation to Masho right now, though. I guess they're not willing to do the risk because it's a
Yeah.
comedy. I guess they don't want to put in so much
Yeah.
money and maybe like money cuts or something like
It's
that.
just a little uncanny valley to me, just knowing, like, going into it and expecting one thing and kind of getting a little bit of a stiffer version than it, like what I was expecting. So, you know, it could just be I overestimated it and I was like expecting more out of it. And it's just, you know what? It's still a good show. I'm still enjoying it because the comedy is top notch in that show. And it's great. And it's something that I'll still recommend. But that's the two shows that I'm kind of just wishy-washy on and not so wishy-washy on. But is there anything you guys that you didn't enjoy watching other than My Home Hero?
I didn't get too much like into my list, really. I know there were like a couple that I couldn't get to watch. I couldn't watch because I'm not caught up, like with Eden Zero and Ancient Magnus Bride. And from the clips and trailer, it looks like the animation they kept it with its style, like added its like magic charms into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it,
There wasn't really an anime that I watched where I thought, oh, I'm not going to continue it. But one that was a little depressing, but now that I'm reading it, I'm feeling a little bit more hopeful. Funny enough, was Ranking of Kings: The Treasure Chest of Courage.
that's
Because
a good one.
originally I thought it was just gonna be like one episode. It for the longest time I didn't really understand what they were doing because it sounded like they were going to do like a hour-long special capturing one
Like a
point.
whole OVA thing. Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah.
Like a movie or something like that.
Yeah, but it didn't seem like they were it wasn't gonna continue on from where the first season ended. It was gonna take place in some point in time during the first season, which I was okay with. But then Treasure Chest of Courage, it's 10 episodes, and it's gonna be little short stories of events that took place during the first season that we just didn't see.
Interesting.
Which I'm like, it's okay, but like the first episode, it there were two stories that were told, and
if it's going where I'm thinking it's going, it's just they might just milking this series into this
yeah,
entire 10 episode at this point.
and I'm worried about that. Granted, I what I hope they do is branch out and focus on a lot of the characters, because that's one thing about Ranking of Kings is that all of the characters in that series were like well-rounded, built out, very deep, interesting, and you kind of want to learn more and more about them, even if like past life or current time doesn't matter. They were all very, very integral to the series, and they all played an important part. So you kind of were like, oh, maybe makes sense going back and learning about them. But this first episode, it was two stories, and it involved Boji, Koge, and Despa, who's one of the princes that trained Boji. And it kind of felt like I guess for lack of a better example, like a Sesame Street sort of episode where it's like, hey kids, what's the message of today? It's to be sure you're looking out for others and making sure that you're not just focused on your own selfish desires. You're being selfless and you're taking care of your community. That's the message. And literally the the episode ends with Despa just basically saying that. He's just like, "Oh yeah, what we're going to do is we're not just going to give these people money. We're going to, help them out by investing in them, letting their daughter go to school, like have her learn and be educated and then get a job." No joke. This is how it ended too. And then
That
he
is
goes,
how I ended.
and then when that happens, we'll have them pay us back. And then it's scene. and then it's ending credits. That's how it ends. It was the clunkiest ending to a first episode. I'm like, what did I just watch?
Wow.
Like it was very, very weird. So I'm gonna keep. I like again. I was excited just because there was more ranking of kings, but I didn't know what to expect from it. But if they're going this route, I'm a little worried about how they're going to deliver each episode. Because if it ends up being like here's the message of the week and here's the letter of the week, like
It'll get old
it's gonna
real
be
quickly.
it's gonna be really tiresome. But
Yeah.
if they take time to go into different characters, or even better yet, if they maybe extend out further from the ending, because the ending of Ranking of Kings, not really a big spoiler by any means, but it's basically just like, hey, another adventure awaits us, and that's how it ends.
Right.
I mean, even like the webtoon of the series is already like been started their like next series and next arc already, and there's only so much side stories that was done throughout the like entire first arc of the anime going into it. And
Mhm.
again, it's nice that every character is really well rounded, and I'm okay with each of them having their stories. But if it's just like you said, if it's just lesson of the day or lesson of this part or letter of the day, whatnot, yeah, it won't. I think it knows that it's not going to be the same popularity as the first season of the anime, but it's just there to just be there, and people could just, if they're interested, go for more OVA kind of like how that time I got reincarnated as a slime, the whole slime diary stories and just random side stories and stuff like that. It's just it got so popular to the point where give even younger kids the chance to watch the show, I guess.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Magically Average, I want to go back to you. We've gone over the shows that we thought that were, we weren't hyped about, that we really enjoyed. We've gone over the duds. What was something that you were hyped on and it like met those expectations / exceeded them? What was like the exceptional thing that you watched right now or so far?
Oh God. Um, I think it probably has to go to Demon Slayer, only because, like, again, I haven't read the manga, so I'm going into each arc blind.
Right.
But like, I've enjoyed every season. Like, we all agree the first season was pretty basic, nothing
Yep.
too out of the ordinary by any means. Second season, Entertainment District was phenomenal, and I said too when we were talking about it, I was like, if they moving forward, if they do this, if they focus on one area and build upon that and like really dive deep into just this one demon or whatever it might be, that's great. Because the first season was like, here's an adventure, here's a recovery arc, here's our adventure, here's our recovery arc, and it felt kind of old. But then Entertainment District broke that, so it's like, okay, cool, do that again. And that's I felt that very feeling watching the first episode, albeit the 50-minute episode that you had to watch to get through it all. But I was like, oh, this was so worth. They needed the 50 minutes. It had to be 50 minutes, only because you had to wrap up everything that took place at the Entertainment District and set forward and set in motion what's going to happen with the Swordsmith Village arc. And boy, oh boy, did they do it so well.
That's
Like,
good
it
to hear.
was. I thought, and this is a piece I wanted to talk about as well towards the end, but we can talk about it now too. But I thought that they not only did a great job of setting up what's to happen, but they left a lot of mystery that many people, I mean, again, me included, probably had no clue this was going to be an aspect to the season. And I'm not going to spoil it for you both because I know you both haven't watched it, but like,
I'll get
there's
to it.
there's a lot of layers, more layers than Entertainment District, already being created and like set up in just this first episode.
More layers than Shrek's onion.
Yes,
I like a good onion.
tons.
Then
But the one
I was gonna say
the one aspect.
follow up question: Are you happy or undetermined as to going to see this in theaters? Are you fine with not seeing it, or do you think it would have been better to see it in theaters?
No, I don't think it would. I think it would be everyone would be left with a bad taste in their mouth just because the first part is the like whatever 2-3
Right.
episodes of entertainment. I think that's the biggest problem is that if you go in and you're like, yes, it's all going to be new, and half of it's just recap, and you're like, oh, fuck, stupid. But no, I mean,
Sounds
watching
like
it at
One
home.
Piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
Recap for 10 minutes and then real
Yeah.
episode.
It's
in
a Dragon
15.
Ball Z episode.
Oh,
Last time in
God.
this fight, here's all the fight scenes.
Ah!
Will it win? Find out next time.
Yeah. Anyways,
this
sorry. Continue.
No, that was basically it. I thought it. I went in again just knowing how Entertainment District ended, and my hopes were already high, and I personally feel like it exceeded it in just its first episode. But the question I wanted to raise, because I think we've all also watched Oshi no Ko,
Yeah.
Mhm,
which that is an hour and 23 minutes. So
mhm.
basically, what I can do math, about 4 episodes almost.
3.
About 3.
Well, it's each episode's 23 minutes. So
Yeah.
23, 40. It's almost 4 episodes.
Yeah, I guess you're right. When you're right,
Some
you're right.
change. 3
Yeah,
and
it's
change.
we'll say 3.5. Happy medium, 3.5.
Close enough to 4 to be, we'll say, yeah. But anyways, yeah, we've all watched that show, and that would have been the show that I would have talked about if Sam, you didn't talk about it.
I did. Well, I mean, like I would talk about it, but
Well,
by
I
far,
guess we're doing it now.
yeah.
but my question though for the group is, do you feel that longer first episodes are going to become the norm? And I'm going to use the My Home Hero as an example of why maybe an hour-long episode would have helped, because you both watched it, both talked about how the pacing stinks, how it felt a little weird in terms of how things were progressing. The inner monologuing was too long, and then the killing was kind of quick, and there wasn't a lot of mystery, even though it was set up to be sort of a mystery thriller. Is that an episode where maybe you're like, if they extended it out a little bit more and had time to build and really develop what this mystery aspect's going to be, or like what I'm going to be getting myself into, could it have been better? Because I personally feel like in the future, moving forward, more series are going to have the 40-minute episodes at least, so that way they have the time to fully flesh out how they want to start the anime. Because sometimes a manga doesn't do well in the first 5 to 7 chapters of really getting its story out there. And first episodes, we can all agree on this, I hope. First episodes can make or break it for a lot of people.
So, quick answers, because I know Sam really wants to talk. Sam's
about
the burst.
I do have a good answer for this. I do have a good answer for this.
Yeah, quick answer for longer episodes, maybe. Would Hometown Hero benefited from a longer episode? Absolutely not. Sam, go ahead, take it away.
Just like you, like first episode, it definitely does make it a lot better, because I've known some other anime that examples like Shield Hero first episode was an hour long, and it did really well for its first introduction. And from what you told me, Demon Slayer's first episode for its 3rd season, hour long, really successful. Oshi no Ko, technically a lot longer than 1 hour, but I understand why they did that though, which is good. And it caught me interested, even though it was like it literally watching Law and Order without the suspense, man. Like,
yeah.
So to really kind of emphasize as to why I say maybe. You brought up Demon Slayer being a good first hour long episode, Shield Hero being a very good first 40-minute long episode. Other end of the spectrum, Detective's Already Dead. It was an hour long or 40 minutes long, and both Tyler and I, we dropped that shit like a hot potato after the first episode. It was not good. It was not good. By the end of the first episode, we had sat there for 40 minutes and we're like, we fucking wasted our time with this. It's told us nothing really about what this show is going to be. It's given us an intro to these characters that may or may not still be alive. It wasn't a good intro to that series. So would it have actually benefited from an extra episode? Maybe it would have, but
I don't think with My Home Hero though.
With My Home Hero, no, for the fact that it's already given you the information that you're going to need about the show. It's given you the plot of, oh god, the father who loves his daughter so much has killed the boyfriend, and the boyfriend belongs to the Yakuza, and now the Yakuza are trying to find this guy. You already know what the show is about. That's the entire first episode wrapped up in 24 minutes. It doesn't need to be expanded longer than that, because it's already given you what the show is going to be. So to that point, my home hero, no, it was just a shit first episode because the pacing was just bad with what they presented to the viewer. If they had maybe, quickened a few things or like shortened a few things and expanded a little bit longer on relationships, like with the daughter and dad.
What's so bad? They did cut that out because technically it was the first 3 chapters, this first entire episode. And it's like, I mean, a lot of the first chapter gives you the most details into the story, and like,
yeah, and usually
I guess they wanted to rush it quickly just so that, all right, we just needed this dad to kill this yakuza boyfriend and then begin our story.
And usually with first episodes, they are just one chapter because that one chapter is usually like 50 to 60 pages long. So that 30 minutes gives you the one chapter. And if that one chapter does its job, it really brings you in. But again, my home hero, no. Oshi no Ko, I really think was a special case because it went over the entire first volume. So spoilers ahead for Oshi no Ko. If you've not watched it, turn this podcast off right now. Go watch it. It's on High Dive. Phenomenal. Spoilers moving forward. Oshi no Ko covered the entire first volume of the series, which right now there's like 115 chapters out total, which you can go read for free on Manga Plus. It's a Shonen Jump affiliate. Go read it. I highly suggest it. It's great. Because of the ending of that episode where it is setting up these characters, you have the twins who were reincarnated from their past lives as the doctor and the patient, and then having the ending be the idol Ai dying and being murdered by a crazed fan, and then setting up this
touch. It was a very nice touch in its animation.
That animation, just like it, I have chills just thinking about it. Like the fucking Aqua's face of just him wanting to exact revenge, where it gets like all like just fucking oil acrylic based paints and everything is like that whole scene is fucking amazing. But Ai's death was great. And it was something when I was reading it, I never thought that would happen. I thought that they would like be along for the ride. It'd be a while. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that this series would be about 2 reincarnated kids trying to solve the murder mystery of their mother or their, reincarnated mother. So for that to take an hour and a half, hour 23 minutes, whatever it was, I think is a real kind of just case study in itself, because it's like, hey, this really was just like this whole first volume was just the prologue of the entire rest of the series. If you have an entire first volume that is the prologue to the rest of the series, by all means, make that the first episode. Don't break it into 3 or 4 episodes. Make it the first episode. Because I think Oshi no Ko, it was a hard ask to tell people like, hey, go watch the hour and a half. But when you do, you're going to want more. You're going to crave more. You're going to tell those people, those friends who are like, what the fuck is this show about? You'll be like, just go watch it. Just go in blind. Trust me, you'll enjoy it. It is a very hard sell.
It's a combination of Law and Order and Criminal Minds without the intense music, really.
Yeah. But it's just dependent on the series, because you can have dud series that have longer first episodes, like the detective is already dead, but you could also have very good first episodes for a series, or midway through the series like Demon Slayer or Shield Hero. So it really is just kind of a maybe. It really just depends on the series to me. But
yeah, it's not a one fit formula.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't apply to every series. And I think it's dependent very much so on the genre as well. Like Oshi no Ko, in the span of an hour and 23 minutes, goes from a drama to a slice of life to a slice of life / comedy,
murder comedy
to
murder
mystery thriller. Like it transcends 4 genres, but not all simultaneously.
It feels fluid.
It's like sequentially.
Yeah.
Right. No, it's not that's not to say it's like clunky and awkward. No. It all melds and molds together seamlessly.
Yeah.
But that's like a rare outlier in terms of episodes where this type, it warrants being this long.
Yeah.
right? There's very, very, very few series, if not, just maybe a handful that would reach that level of like, no, you probably do need an hour long episode to really encapsulate what the viewers are going to go through. Because if you imagine breaking up Oshinoko into three, like that,
episodes.
yeah,
No, it
we'll give it
wouldn't
the
work.
benefit of the doubt and say three, right? Like, well, so 3 episodes. The first one being the death and reincarnation piece, the second one being sort of their early lives, and the third one being the ending piece into the murder mystery part. It would feel like you're watching 3 different shows over the span of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck did I just watch? Like, this does not make sense. But if you put it together, it's like, oh my god, this is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's what everyone's reaction was. Everyone that I've talked to in person or things I've read online, like feedback, reviews, everything has been, this show is a quite literally a
masterclass.
whirlwind roller coaster from start to finish. You can never anticipate what's going to come next, and it has you on the edge of your seat, and it's perfect.
And
I could not agree more.
and I'm just, with no spoilers, it gets better. It gets so
You can already tell.
much
I mean, you
better.
can already tell.
I think the advertisement team did a good job on
Yes.
advertising it's Oshinoko in general, because like you just have the mom, the main girl everywhere, and you would just think she's the main character of the entire series. But then just like Scream 1, you automatically kill off the main idol girl, the main popular actress in the first 10 minutes, and then the movie starts from there afterwards. I think it's great. I think it worked out really well with Oshinoko.
Yeah.
Like you said, it could not work separately. It needed to be all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm wondering, like, is it now more gonna be continuing this ride since it's going back into like 30 minutes or 23 minutes
It'll
per
be
episode?
it'll be normal length episodes from now. And it'll definitely work because now they're like, that was again a prologue. That whole first episode is a prologue to the rest of the series. The rest of the series is going to be really well paced and broken into 30-minute or 23-minute increments.
Yeah.
So
you've set the stage for what you can anticipate moving forward now.
yeah. But
And yeah.
yeah, but Sam, I wanted to ask you, I mean, we talked about R2. Is Oshinoko the peak of what you thought of this season has to offer, or is there something else that you really thoroughly enjoyed?
Hell's Paradise was actually really good too, and
Agreed.
I know this was also a Shonen Jump series, but this was actually one of their monthly series.
I think it's Shonen Jump Plus, if I'm not mistaken.
I know it finished, and that first episode really caught me by surprise of the intention of this guy in a ninja in prison. He just wants to die, but no matter what they do to him, he can't die. But he just somehow
His body
not hard enough
rejects it.
rejects everything, burning, sword, cutting, slashing, everything, and then you just have this girl trying to find out his history, finding out like, nah, you do have a heart, you love your wife. Sorry for spoilers, and like
Yeah, it's episode 1.
That pisses him off because it reveals his own weakness, which is his humanity, and it comes to the point where it reveals the story of the world that's happening, what Hell Paradise is, the whole maybe like something from Junji Ito's kind of crazy hell with the bugs and everything and mutation shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be really interesting.
I'm caught up on it. There's 3 episodes out right now. I've actually read the entire series. There's 13 volumes total. Or 12. I don't actually really, hold on. I have the wiki. 13. The show is great. Like the adaptation from what I've read has been phenomenal. Mappa's done a great job, which, by the way, Mappa, let your employees go. Just let them have a break, please, for the love of God. They need a break.
They can't.
But then if they take a break, it won't. The quality might not be there though.
And they're
It's
doing
fine.
Vinland Saga as well.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. But yeah,
yeah, I forgot.
And they did and they did Attack on Titan earlier.
I will say they set a good, like, episode 1 was a good intro into the 2 main characters that you're gonna have alongside a vast side cast, which is, we'll get there later in the show. And then episode 2 set a really good tone of like, okay, this is the brutality levels that you're going to see throughout the show. And then episode 3 is like, here is the setting, the fucked up setting that they're in. Go. It is.
I think they caught me in the second episode with the side characters of, oh, these are the criminals that's still alive, and then 3
Mhm.
like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
what side characters?
Yeah.
All you did was just gave them a name, and that's really it. And like,
It-
nope, they're gone.
But episode 3 kind of just pushes everything out the door and it's just like, okay, here's your series, now go do the thing. And it's the adaptation is great. Like everything that I wanted from this show has been shown. It's just been overall amazing. I do highly recommend this show as well. It is pretty brutal, it can be brutal, and it will get brutal. It's great. So yeah, if you're missing that, and I hate to say it, if you're missing that brutality of like Attack on Titan, this is for you.
And if you need to mellow out afterwards and watch a very wholesome anime, one that we haven't talked about yet, I would recommend Skip and Loafer.
That was the show that I was going to suggest next, because it's like the only other show that we haven't talked about.
First episode definitely gave me the feeling of like Akabe's sailor uniform, where it's just going to be very cute episode to episode. It's nothing, it's going to be nothing too special. Like the animation is really interesting and
It's
unique.
so unique.
I like the style. I
yeah.
really like the style to it. And it's just gonna be a girl at school from a small town going to Tokyo, trying to live her dream of eventually becoming a lawyer and then running in politics and then going back to her small town to be governor and then having her ashes spread across the Sea of Japan. She has her whole life planned out from start to finish.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. What can go wrong? Quite literally everything in the first episode. And it's adorable. Again, if you like a slice of life that really has no purpose other than to just be cute and wholesome and nothing much really happens, Skip and Loafer is a good one.
So
if you're looking for,
I've watched episode 2. There's a bit more to it than that, but yeah.
I bet there is. Well, because I'm comparing it to like The Dangers in My Heart and Kuba Won't Let Me Be Invisible, where they're like, those are very much like they have a shtick to them. They have like an element that's distinct from like what I would consider at least to be like a normal slice of life. This one is just, again, like Akabe's Sailor Uniform was one of my favorite anime, whatever year it came out. Was it 20? It might have been last year. I don't know. Can't remember.
It was last year.
Yeah, I think it was last year. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's just like all it was the life of a middle school girl who just wanted to go to a school where she could wear a sailor uniform. That's it. That was all. And the animation was some of the best I'd ever seen. I was very excited when I saw that it got nominated for the Crunchyroll Awards for animation. I think did not win. Shocker. But yeah, if you want something in that vein, this is a perfect one.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna bring us home because we are getting close on time. Skip and Loafer.
Talking about Konosuba, An Explosion on This Wonderful World.
Would you just let me fucking talk, boy? Oh boy, mother.
That one was fun.
Skip and Loafer to me caught me off guard, and I'm very like, it was something that I had known. I'd known that it is a great series. It's something that my sisters talked about and has said, "Oh my god, it's great." So I went into it with pretty high expectations of like, this is going to be a good slice of life, and it met those expectations. And I've watched episode 2, and episode 3 has come out today, and I'll probably watch that later tonight. Skip and Loafer is definitely the slice of life of the season for me, hands down. But the 2 other shows that I just quickly want to touch upon before we say goodbye: Konosuba An Explosion on This Wonderful World. I've watched the first 2 episodes. They're funny. It's more Konosuba. There's really not much more to say about it. If you like Konosuba, you're gonna like this. It's fantastic. But the other one that I want to talk about, in episode 2 just came out today, Dead Mount Death Play. This was a show, when I heard it was coming out, I was so excited about it. I was thrilled. I've been reading this. It's great. Like the manga is great. I watched episode 1. And it lived up to those expectations. Or not like it didn't necessarily live up to those expectations, but it was like, I feel whelmed. This is what I wanted. This is what I expected. This is good. This is really enjoyable. If those of you who don't know, it's another it's an isekai adjacent. I only say that because they go from a fantasy world to modern day Tokyo. But it's got like kind of just magical powers surrounding around it, and there's kind of this weird dark humor comedy to it as well. Like they randomly will go into chibi mode, like of unexpected, just like, oh, I wasn't. It's just, it seems really dark, and then it has these light-hearted moments to it that just kind of take you by surprise and make you chuckle. So while it is kind of an action show at heart, there is a comedy base to it, like where Mashal will kind of just nom on a cream puff and it just kind of goes into a weird chibi form. They do kind of similar things in this story as well. So if you're looking for
Popeye's the Sailor.
yeah, if you're looking for like an not necessarily anti isekai, but like a reverse isekai where they come to modern day Japan, it's you could do worse.
Okay.
And if you're looking for a batshit crazy one that makes no sense,
Oh,
but
Jesus
it's hilarious,
fucking Christ.
watch Magical Destroyers.
Oh,
Imagine if Borderlands became an anime and nothing in the world makes sense, and you target otakus and try to save them, quote unquote. This is what you get with Magical Destroyers. The first episode was entertaining. I'm not going to say that it's great by any means. It was entertaining enough, but boy, oh boy, is the premise really fucking weird.
Oh, I thought this was a different one. I know what you're talking about now. I thought you were talking about Rokudo's Bad Girls.
No, God, no! I can't look. Even look at that animation.
Oh my God!
It looks webtoony as shit. No, Magical Destroyers is about a team of otaku who are the last sort of beacon of hope for the otakus of the world, as an evil organization begins to assimilate them into real life, and by assimilate I mean trap them in cages until they die.
Oh my God!
And they target very popular hobby cities like Akihabara and like all these like otaku hubs in Japan and just destroy them. And yeah, it's about how there's like on their team there's one magical girl who helps them out, and they're trying to rescue the others and take down the evil organization is just this guy with like an uwu face as a TV head. And like that's it. And they all are these like weird giant buff muscular army dudes with sphere heads with uwu faces on them. Like that's it. It's so weird. It's very strange.
Tyler. You must have had a really long flight to download that one.
Valerie wanted to watch it. My wife wanted to watch it.
It must have been a long plane ride.
Sam,
it was entertaining. It was funny.
Sam,
again, I'm not saying it's good by any means. It was just go watch it.
Last thoughts, any other shows that you enjoyed this season so far?
Dr. Stone has been consistently good. I'm glad of its consistency. I can like go to just keep watching it with its pace and discovery and what it is of discovering the world and unlocking new people. Always good. Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury season 2 came back. Consistent. Yep. I'm liking it. Tonikawa Over the Moon for You season 2 came back too.
I need to watch that. Just season 1 and 2. I need to watch that.
It's just a nice wholesome like watch for married couples and young love kind of thing, and it's good. I like it.
Good.
Yeah, and Otaku Elf because yeah, the elf it's just mommy right there. Sorry.
That's the one series I need to watch too. I'm excited to watch it.
God bless it. Sam, where can people keep?
I'm not married. I'm the one that's not married.
Our degen. It's all right. Sam, where can people catch up with you if they want to follow you around?
You can catch me at SamTheMangaMan on the socials. I think I haven't been on Twitter in so long, but I'm more active on Discord. So you can just add me on Discord. I think SamTheMangaMan or something else. But yeah, you could just find me from there or my channel, YouTube. I'll get there eventually. I'll start content creating eventually. Okay.
Dude, you've been busy. I know. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah. But thank you all for joining us this week. We will be back next week with a brand new episode. So until next time, Spark Triumph. We will see you then.